Hello, and welcome back to our fifth installment of Declaring the End from the Beginning, In-Depth Scripture Paradigms, Day 5.
He is God. O God, my God, these are servants attracted in thy days by the fragrances of thy holiness, enkindled with the flame burning in thy holy tree, responding to thy voice, uttering thy praise, awakened by thy breeze, stirred by thy sweet savors, beholding thy signs, understanding thy verses, hearkening to thy words, believing thy revelation and assured of thy loving kindness. Their eyes, O Lord, are fixed upon thy kingdom of effulgent glory, and their faces turned toward thy dominion on high. Their hearts beating with the love of thy radiant and glorious beauty, their souls consumed with the flame of thy love. O Lord of this world and the world hereafter, their lives seething with the ardor of their longing for thee, and their tears poured forth for thy sake.
Shield them within the stronghold of thy protection and safety. Preserve them in thy watchful care. Look upon them with the eyes of thy loving providence and mercy. Make them the signs of thy divine unity that are manifest throughout all regions. The standards of thy might that wave above the mansions of grandeur, the shining lamps that burn with the oil of thy wisdom and the globes of thy guidance, the birds of the garden of thy knowledge that warble upon the topmost boughs in thy sheltering paradise, and the leviathans of the ocean of thy bounty that plunge by thy supreme mercy in the fathomless deeps.
O Lord my God, lowly are these servants of thine. Exalt them in thy kingdom on high. Feeble, strengthen them by thy supreme power. Abased, bestow upon them thy glory in thine all highest realm. Poor, enrich them in thy great dominion. Do thou then ordain for them all the good thou hast destined in thy worlds, visible and invisible. Prosper them in this world below. Gladden their hearts with thine inspiration, O Lord of all beings. Illumine their hearts with thy joyful tidings diffused from thy all-glorious station. Make firm their steps in thy most great covenant, and strengthen their loins in thy firm testament. By thy bounty and promised grace, O gracious and merciful one, thou art verily the gracious, the all-bountiful. Abdul-Baha.
And the translation for day 5 consists of Genesis chapter 1, verses 20 through 23. And God saith, Let the waters swarm abundantly of conscious life, and let the birds soar above the earth across the face of the expanse of the heavens. So God created the magnificent sea creatures, and all conscious life that moveth, which permeated the waters according to their kind, and every winged bird according to their kind. And God seeth that is virtuous. So God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the seas, and let the birds multiply throughout the earth. And it is the evening, and it is the morning of the 5th day.
And God saith, Let the waters swarm abundantly of conscious life, and let the birds soar above the earth, across the face of the expanse of the heavens.
The 5th day is a return to the waters. Waters of day 2. But the advancement of day 4 set in motion a chain of events within the water. This animation created conditions within the body of water wherein life could thrive. The first lesson learned in this day is that of causes and effects. These are the first living creatures. And what do the living creatures do? They swarm in the waters and fly above the earth. Swarming in the deep and soaring above the earth and across the face or surface of the heavens contrast the two natural extremes. The two natural extremes from day 2, the two waters, the waters of the deep and the waters above in the firmament. In these two natural extremes, this life is an exaltation of the elements in every respect.
The honor and exaltation of every existing thing are contingent upon certain causes and conditions. The excellence, adornment, and perfection of the earth consist in this, that through the outpourings of the vernal showers it should become green and verdant, that plants should spring forth, that flowers and herbs should grow, that blossom-filled trees should produce an abundant yield and bring forth fresh and succulent fruit, that gardens should be arrayed, that meadows should be adorned, that plains and mountains should don an emerald robe, and that fields and bowers, villages and cities should be decked forth. This is the felicity of the mineral world. The height of exaltation and perfection of the vegetable world consists in this, that a tree should stand tall beside a stream of fresh water, that a gentle breeze should blow and the sun bestow its warmth upon it, that a gardener should tend it, and that day by day it should grow and yield fruit. But its real felicity consists in progressing into the animal and human worlds, and in replacing that which has been consumed in the bodies of animals and men. The exaltation of the animal world is to possess perfect members, organs, and powers, and to have all its needs supplied. This is the height of its glory, honor, and exaltation. So the supreme felicity of an animal resides in a green and verdant meadow, in a flowing stream of the sweetest water, and in a forest brimming with life. If these things are provided, no greater felicity can be imagined for the animal. For example, were a bird to build its nest in a green and verdant forest, in a pleasant height, upon a mighty tree, and atop a lofty branch, and were it to have at its disposal all the seed and water that it requires, then this would constitute its perfect felicity. But true felicity for the animal consists in passing from the animal world into the human realm, like the microscopic beings that through the air and the water enter into the body of man, are assimilated, and replace that which has been consumed in his body. This is the greatest honor and felicity for the animal world, and no greater honor can be conceived for it.
Therefore, it is clear and evident that such material ease, comfort, and abundance are the height of felicity for minerals, plants, and animals. And indeed, no wealth, prosperity, comfort, or ease in our material world can equal the wealth of a bird, for it has all the expanse of the fields and mountains for a dwelling place, all the seed and harvest for wealth and sustenance, and all the lands, villages, meadows, pastures, forests, and wilderness for possessions. Now, which is the richer, this bird or the wealthiest of men? For no matter how many seeds that bird may gather up or give away, its wealth does not diminish. Then it is clear that the honor and exaltation of man cannot reside solely in material delights and earthly benefits. This material felicity is wholly secondary, while the exaltation of man resides primarily in such virtues and attainments as are the adornments of the human reality. These consist in divine blessings, heavenly bounties, heartfelt emotions, the love and knowledge of God, the education of the people, the perceptions of the mind, and the discoveries of science. They consist in justice and equity, truthfulness and benevolence, inner courage and innate humanity, safeguarding the rights of others and preserving the sanctity of covenants and agreements. They consist in rectitude of conduct under all conditions, under all circumstances, love of truth under all conditions, self-abnegation for the good of all people, kindness and compassion for all nations, obedience to the teachings of God, service to the heavenly kingdom, guidance for all mankind, and education for all races and nations. This is the felicity of the human world. This is the exaltation of man in the contingent realm. This is eternal life and heavenly honor. These gifts, however, do not manifest themselves in the reality of man save through a celestial and divine power and through the heavenly teachings, for they require a supernatural power. Traces of these perfections may well appear in the world of nature, but they are as fleeting and ephemeral as rays of sunlight upon the wall. As the compassionate Lord has crowned the head of man with such refulgent diadem, we must strive that its luminous gems may cast their light upon the whole world. The birds that soar above the earth and across the face of the expanse are the most majestic of living creatures. This majesty of the birds highlights the contrast to the causes and conditions and the effects thereof.
In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee like a bird to your mountain? For behold, the wicked end the bow. They have fitted their arrow to the string to shoot in the dark the upright in heart. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes see, his eyelids test the children of man. The Lord tests the righteous, but his soul hates the wicked and the one who loves violence. Let him rain coals on the wicked, fire and sulfur, and a scorching wind shall be the portion of their cup. For the Lord is righteous. He loves righteous deeds. The upright shall behold his face. Psalm 11.
The birds symbolize the freedom of the soul, the limitless sky, or rather the heaven, that it can inhabit, where it can find suitable land to build its nest and progenerate. The throne is in the heaven, so the soul must have the wings of a bird if it is to reach the throne of God, and it must be as free as the bird. The mystic bird, then, is the soul, the heart, and the lofty heavenly reach of the mind.
So God createth magnificent sea creatures and all conscious life that moveth, which permeated the waters according to their kind, and every winged bird according to their kind, and God seeth that as virtuous.
Here is given the description of the living creatures of the sea and the cycle of life. These huge, humongous sea creatures are the focus. The word magnificent here is gedol in Hebrew, meaning great or mighty, often translated as whales. As day 5 is like the mirror of day 2, calling attention to the water, we return to the water cycle. And here we also have the life cycle, the living cycle that begins in the water. As in the Quran, it states, "We made from water all living things." This is where the process of creation can be calculated, formulated, and witnessed. The processes of life are carried to new and previously unattainable places through the movement of water currents, migrations of the living creatures, and the parasites and groupies they carry with them. All of this is the natural process of the life cycle.
So God blesseth them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the seas, and let the birds multiply throughout the earth.
This verse continues to focus on the multiplication and amplification of life in the sea and the birds of the air. Through this increase of life, the abundance of raw materials that can accumulate over periods of time, short and long periods of time, increases, and new forms of life develop. From these variations, simple illustrations can be drawn to enhance the natural experience. Baha'u'llah encourages us to consider the creation in terms of matter and motion, which is animation. All of that which can naturally balance itself remaineth for a considerable amount of time, just as ye observe in the sun and the moon. Whereas that which doth not naturally balance itself terminateth itself rather quickly, just as ye envisage within the nature of the terrestrial realm. Wherefore strive until the balance of all things is properly understood from the sources. Baha'u'llah, Tafsir of the Alif Lam Mim. The differences in the celestial bodies and their motion and perpetuation, the changes and chances they encounter versus the spurious life forms that develop within them, truly highlight the contradistinction between the highest examples and the lowest examples. These variances in the creatures are a testament to the Creator. For each there was a cause, a purpose, and a goal to reach, each being confined to its particular aspirations and sensations.
For not all flesh is the same, but there is one kind for humans, another for animals, another for birds, and another for fish. 1 Corinthians 15:39.
The creation supports itself, sustains itself, and even purges itself. The system appears mysteriously and completely self-subsisting. The thought-provoking nature of creation is the driving force of this day.
O thou who art voicing the praises of thy Lord, I have read thy letter, wherein thou didst express astonishment at some of the laws of God, such as that concerning the hunting of innocent animals, creatures who are guilty of no wrong. Be thou not surprised at this. Reflect upon the inner realities of the universe, the secret wisdoms involved, the enigmas, the interrelationships, the rules that govern all. For every part of the universe is connected with every other part by ties that are very powerful and admit of no imbalance, nor any slackening whatever. In the physical realm of creation, all things are eaters and eaten. The plant drinketh in the mineral, the animal doth crop and swallow down the plant, man doth feed upon the animal, and the mineral devoureth the body of man. Physical bodies are transferred past one barrier after another, from one life to another, and all things are subject to transformation and change, save only the essence of existence itself. Since it is constant and immutable, and upon it is founded the life of every species and kind, of every contingent reality throughout the whole of creation.
Whensoever thou dost examine through a microscope the water man drinketh, the air he doth breathe, thou wilt see that with every breath of air man taketh in abundance of animal life, and with every draught of water he also swalloweth down a great variety of animals. How could it ever be possible to put a stop to this process? For all creatures are eaters and eaten, and the very fabric of life is reared upon this fact. Were it not so, the ties that interlace all created things within the universe would be unraveled. And further, whensoever thing is destroyed and decayeth and is cut off from life, it is promoted into a world that is greater than the world it knew before. It leaveth, for example, the life of the mineral, and goeth forward into the life of the plant. Then it departeth out of the vegetable life, and ascendeth into that of the animal, following which it forsaketh the life of the animal, and riseth into the realm of human life. And this is out of the grace of thy Lord, the merciful, the compassionate. I beg of God that he will assist thee to comprehend the mysteries that lie at the heart of creation, and will draw away the veil from before thine eyes and thy sisters', that the well-guarded secret may be disclosed unto thee, and the hidden mystery be revealed as clear as the sun at noonday, that he will aid thy sister and thy husband to enter the kingdom of God, and will heal thee of every ill, whether physical or spiritual, that assaileth one in this life. Selections from the writings of Abdu'l-Baha, number 137.
Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, has devoured me. He has crushed me. He has made me an empty vessel. He has swallowed me like a sea monster. He has filled his stomach with my delicacies. He has rinsed me out. Jeremiah 51:34.
Also, in the depths of the sea, where there are deep recesses of darkness, loneliness exists. Herein dwelleth the Leviathan. Here, in day 5, we have the great terrifying beast, or creatures that arise from the sea. Where they come from, what they do, and how they behave is a testimony to what their mental state and capacity is. The associations drawn from such conditions are abundantly clear. The symbol of the deep, the abyss, and the king of the abyss is all revealed through these living examples. O Lord, how manifold are your works. In wisdom have you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. Here is the sea, great and wide, which teems with creatures innumerable, living things both small and great. There go the ships, and Leviathan, which you formed to play in it. These all look to you, to give them their food in due season. When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are filled with good things. When you hide your face, they are dismayed. When you take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. When you send forth your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the ground. May the glory of the Lord endure forever. May the Lord rejoice in his works, who looks on the earth, and it trembles, who touches the mountains, and they smoke. I will sing to the Lord as long as I live. I will sing praise to my God while I have being. May my meditation be pleasing to him, for I rejoice in the Lord. Let sinners be consumed from the earth, and let the wicked be no more. Bless the Lord, O my soul. Praise the Lord. Psalm 104, 24-35.
God is unapologetic in the use of symbolizing what is minute, or that which is more substantial. Those who believe know that it is the truth from their Lord, but those without conviction say, "What doeth God mean by this symbol? By it he astoundeth many, and by it he guideth many. But none doeth he astound except the transgressors who break the covenant of God after it hath been endorsed, violate what God hath appointed within it to be observed, and commit corruption upon earth. These are they who are among the heedless. How can ye reject faith in God? For ye were without life, and he gave you life. Then he will take away your life and revitalize you. Then to him will be your return. He is the one who hath created for you whatsoever is upon the whole earth. Then he formulated the heaven and shaped them into 7 heavens, for he is knowledgeable about all things. Quran 2, 26-29.
The Quran introduces parables highest to lowest. And Day 5 provides insight through the presentation of living examples. Throughout all of God's messages, what comes fifth is deep and mindful. However, the positive or negative qualities are represented through its outward mode of expression. The voice is the theme of this day, and the recital of songs that birds sing and whales hum. There are an innumerable amount of living examples with modes of expression within the creation. We must not shy away from or be offended by such examples. True strength lies in discerning the lesson in the example, not in finding fault or taking issue with the presentation of such examples. Nature is an extremely violent and unpleasant place, but it is also the equivalent in verse. What is love without hate? Cold without heat? Comfort without unpleasantness? The greater the example, the greater the yearning for its reality. God uses extremes to introduce this reality to us. And the expectations the mind projects are usually what is limited. Within the mind, there is openness or closedness. The first duty the mind has is to question, is to wonder, and to solve. This day appropriately presents these opportunities through this creative nature.
O ye people that have minds to know and ears to hear, the first call of the beloved is this: O mystic nightingale, abide not but in the rose garden of the Spirit. O messenger of the Solomon of love, seek thou no shelter except in the Sheba of the well-beloved, and O immortal Phoenix, dwell not save on the mount of faithfulness. Therein is thy habitation, if on the wings of thy soul thou soarest to the realm of the infinite and seekest to attain thy goal.
O son of spirit, the bird seeketh its nest, the nightingale the charm of the rose, whilst those birds, the hearts of men, content with transient dust, have strayed far from their eternal nest, and with eyes turned towards the slough of heedlessness are bereft of the glory of the divine presence. Alas, how strange and pitiful! For a mere cupful they have turned away from the billowing seas of the Most High, and remain far from the most effulgent horizon. The hidden words, Persian, part 1 and 2.
And it is the evening, and it is the morning of the 5th day.
The 5th day introduces causes and effects into the creation. It reveals a sensational outcome of the mysterious forces of nature, which are astounding. These conditions bring about an order and an administration to the creation, a hierarchy of such, the beginning of one. The journey begins through nature. The lessons learned accumulate over time, and the application of these learned principles becomes our duty, first in the mind and then outwardly. Our mental and or emotional state is closely linked to the natural world, and learning and experiencing the variations of nature is the key to unlocking the mysteries found within our very own selves. We choose to be open to this experience or to be closed to it. The most important thing to remember is that the choice is always made presently.
But know this, the lamp of God shall be lit, and his brilliant star shall shine upon the assemblage of humanity. His ocean shall surge, and the leviathan of the heavenly sea shall roar. The songbird of the rose garden of Baha shall warble with blissful rapture, and the nightingale of the bower of the Lord shall chant its eternal song. Thereupon shall the hearing ear, attuned to the song of the nightingale, hearken to the divine call, proclaiming, "Sanctified be the Lord. This is the songster of my paradise. This is the nightingale of my rose garden. This is the candle of my worlds. The glory of God rests upon thee." Light of the World, number 60, Abdu'l-Baha. We have set forth the details of obligatory prayer in another tablet. Blessed is he who observeth that whereunto he hath been bidden by him who ruleth over all mankind. In the prayer for the dead, 6 specific passages have been sent down by God, the revealer of verses. Let one who is able to read recite that which hath been revealed to precede these passages. And as for him who is unable, God hath relieved him of this requirement. He of a truth is the mighty, the pardoner. Hair doth not invalidate your prayer, nor aught from which the spirit hath departed, such as bones and the like. Ye are free to wear the fur of the sable as ye would that of the beaver, the squirrel, and other animals. The prohibition of its youth hath stemmed not from the Quran, but from the misconceptions of the divines. He verily is the all-glorious, the all-knowing. We have commanded you to pray and fast from the beginning of maturity. This is ordained by God, your Lord and the Lord of your forefathers. He hath exempted from this those who are weak from illness or age, as a bounty from his presence, and he is the forgiving, the generous. God hath granted you leave to prostrate yourselves on any surface that is clean, for we have removed in this regard the limitation that had been laid down in the book. God indeed hath knowledge proceed to his devotions. Such is the command of the Lord of all worlds. In regions where the days and nights grow long, let times of prayer be gauged by clocks and other instruments that mark the passage of the hours. He verily is the expounder, the wise. We have absolved you from the requirement of performing the prayer of the signs. On the appearance of fearful natural events, call ye to mind the might and majesty of your Lord, he who heareth and seeth all, and say, Dominion is God's, the Lord of the seen and the unseen, the Lord of creation.
It hath been ordained that obligatory prayer is to be performed by each of you individually, save in the prayer for the dead. The practice of congregational prayer hath been annulled. He of a truth is the ordainer, the all-wise. God hath exempted women who were in their courses from obligatory prayer and fasting. Let them instead, after performance of their ablutions, give praise unto God, repeating 95 times between the noon of one day and the next, Glorified be God, the Lord of splendor and beauty. Thus hath it been decreed in the book, if ye be of them that comprehend. When traveling, if ye should stop and rest in some safe spot, perform ye, men and women alike, a single prostration in place of each unsaid obligatory prayer, and while prostrating say, Glorified be God, the Lord of might and majesty, of grace and bounty. Whoso is unable to do this, let him say only, Glorified be God. This shall surely suffice him. He is, of a truth, the all-sufficing, the ever-abiding, the forgiving, compassionate God. Upon completing your prostrations, seat yourselves cross-legged, men and women alike, and 18 times repeat, Glorified be God, the Lord of the kingdoms of earth and heaven. Thus doth the Lord make plain the ways of truth and guidance, ways that lead to one way, which is this straight path. Render thanks unto God for this most gracious favor. Offer praise unto him for this bounty that hath encompassed the heavens and the earth. Extol him for this mercy that hath pervaded all creation. Say, God hath made my hidden love the key to the treasure. Would that ye might perceive it. But for the key, the treasure would to all eternity have remained concealed. Would that ye might believe it. Say, this is the source of revelation, the dawning place of splendor, whose brightness hath illumined the horizons of the world. Would that ye might understand. This is, verily, that fixed decree through which every irrevocable decree hath been established. Kitab Yakdas, paragraphs 8 through 15. The relative fifth introduction through the Akdas is about prayer and fasting, reflecting on the power and majesty of creation, solitude in prayer, traveling, and the hidden key to the treasure, which is the sacred love one has for God in his supreme manifestation. Love is the highest form of expression, beginning here and reaching out into all other forms within the creation that are highlighted in this day. Prayer and fasting symbolize two wings through which the soul ascends into the mystic heights of heaven, wherein was found the throne of the Almighty.
Remember this and stand firm. Recall it to mind, you transgressors. Remember the former things of old. For I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will accomplish all my purpose, calling a bird of prey from the east, the man of my counsel from a far country. I have spoken, and I will bring it to pass. I have purposed, and I will do it. Listen to me, you stubborn of heart, you who are far from righteousness. I will bring near my righteousness. It is not far off, and my salvation will not delay. I will put salvation in Zion, for Israel my glory. Isaiah 46, 8-13.
The tongue of wisdom proclaimeth, he that hath me not is bereft of all things. Turn ye away from all that is on earth, and seek none else but me. I am the son of wisdom, and the ocean of knowledge. I cheer the faint, and revive the dead. I am the guiding light that illumineth the way. I am the royal falcon on the arm of the Almighty. I enfold the drooping wings of every broken bird, and start it on its flight. Baha'u'llah, Tablet to Maliki Sahib.